Hey everyone, it's Steve from the garden. In this video, I'm going to do my third time of trying to do sweet potatoes over the last few years. I have not had much luck growing sweet potatoes. My first year, my results were mediocre. The second year, they were dismal. So we'll see if third time is the charm. Let's go inside real quick and we'll see what I'm doing as far as growing out the slips. Then we'll come back outside for the planting. Here are my sweet potato slips I'm growing. So I use the soil method where I put soil halfway up the sweet potato. I find this works best for me. I've tried the water method before, but that just seems like the potatoes tend to rot more than anything. Now when the sweet potato slips are forming, you know, like these ones are right here, are kind of below the soil level, they'll have some roots on them. And same with like this one right here. If I pull this out, you can see it already has a little bit of a root system already going. For the ones that don't have roots that are growing on the top, what I do is I use a mason jar with an air stone in it with my air pump. And then I just kind of put them in there and that'll get the roots started. So like here's one where I started a few days ago. You can see it's got little roots coming out already. These plants were in a little bit longer. You can see they got much longer roots. And when they get to this stage, then I move them over to a cell tray. That way I get them in the soil and they start getting soil roots instead of the water roots. And then I can just pull these out and transplant them in my containers I'm going to use. I have my buckets where I'm going to plant the sweet potatoes all ready to go. I filled them up with a mixture of compost and peat moss. And I got my mulch on the top already, and I've already kind of soaked in the compost. So I'm just going to dig a little spot in the compost. I'm going to take one of my plugs where you can see it's already got good root development. Just dig a spot kind of deep, because sweet potatoes will grow roots all along the stem. Dig that kind of deep. Put in there, bury that in, and then I can refill that spot with the mulch. I'm going to do 3 slips per bucket. Last one for this bucket. Put that on there, put the mulch back in place. All I'm going to do now is water this in manually. And you can see I got my drip irrigation kind of set up to water the bucket automatically. I have all the slips in place and they're all watered in. Now I should mention that before I put the mulch on top, and obviously before I put the slips in, I did amend the soil with some, like a handful of balanced organic fertilizer, and mixed that into like the top 3 to 4 inches. It's not a lot of fertilizer because with sweet potatoes you want the roots, you don't want the vegetation so much. So you don't want to add too many nutrients, and especially not too much nitrogen, because too much nitrogen, all you're going to get is a lot of leaf growth without the root development. Now this bucket doesn't have any trellising system above it. This bucket has some trellising above it with both the frame and then the fencing. And these 2 buckets will have the full fencing above them. I know from my previous attempts of growing sweet potatoes that sweet potatoes can produce an awful lot of vine growth. So another thing I will be doing as the season progresses is I'm going to start trimming out the vines once they get to about 4 feet long or so that hopefully the plant will focus more of its energy on the root development. I'm also trying to give the sweet potatoes the best possible chance for success this year by putting them in one of the sunniest spots I have in the garden so that they get as much sun as they need, hopefully. And it should also be one of the warmest spots because it does get so much sun. I hope you enjoyed coming along on my sweet potato growing adventure today, that you got something out of it, and we'll see you on the next one.